I've been prosecuting for 16 years, and child abuse cases, particularly child sex abuse cases, are some of the most difficult cases we prosecute. It's a crime that's done in secret. When a person sexually abuses a child, they don't do it in a room full of people. We seldom have an eyewitness to child sex abuse. More times than not, what we have is the testimony of a scared, confused child. I say scared and confused because most of the time the child has been abused by someone he or she loves, a family member, a close friend. The prosecution is required to prove a case beyond a reasonable doubt. We have to convince 12 jurors, all 12, beyond a reasonable doubt, the highest burden of proof in the law. Because of the work being done at the Children's Center, these type of cases are being better investigated, and that's resulting in more successful prosecutions. When a child discloses what may be child abuse, instead of being taken to the police station, he or she is taken to the Children's Center. There, he or she is interviewed in a child-friendly room by someone specifically trained to ask age-appropriate questions, to create an environment where the child feels comfortable to talk about anything or nothing at all. Meanwhile, law enforcement agents are present and they're watching those interviews and looking for important details that they can corroborate in their investigations. They can get a search warrant and go to the scene of the crime. We can photograph where the abuse occurred. Many times the law enforcement agents are able to recover items that were specifically described by the child during the interview. Also at the Children's Center, there are trained medical professionals who conduct an examination, a physical examination of the child. In most cases, we do not find evidence of injury or physical evidence of abuse, but the child is reassured that he or she is okay. The Children's Center also has counselors who are there to provide emotional support and therapy if necessary. And the work of these professionals at the Children's Center doesn't stop at the Children's Center. Now those professionals accompany me and the child to trial. The forensic interviewers can testify about the process of disclosure, explain why it's not unusual for a child to delay disclosure, to explain the grooming process, how the predators specifically condition these children to think that this is okay. Sometimes even convincing them that it's their fault or that no one will believe them. The medical professionals come in, and in those rare cases where we have evidence of physical findings consistent with child abuse, they can provide that information to the jury. The forensic interviewers and the children's counselors can explain behaviors that are commonly exhibited by children who have been sexually abused. Explain to the jury the significance of important details such as sensory details where the child describes how something felt or something he or she heard or saw during the sexual abuse. All of this empowers the prosecutor to present the truth, to present evidence beyond a reasonable doubt that can result in convictions. And we're seeing this in the successful prosecutions that we've had. Last year was a great example. We filed about 50 child abuse cases, which is fairly typical. Last year we took 4 cases to jury trial. We obtained convictions in all 4 cases. In all 4 cases, the perpetrators were sentenced to many years in the Department of Corrections, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. In one case, the perpetrator was sentenced to 628 years. That resulted in a number of other people desiring to enter into plea agreements where they come in and they plead guilty without anyone having to go to trial. Unfortunately, for every case we successfully try, for every case we successfully resolve, I file another one, or 2, or 3. Because we live in a broken, sinful world where people think it's okay to prey on a child. Child abuse is not going away. But there is a silver lining, and that's us. And I don't mean just those of us in the criminal justice system, not just those of us that work at the Children's Center. I'm talking about all of us. You, me, parents, grandparents, brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, teachers, coaches, neighbors, friends. We need to educate ourselves on child abuse and how it presents itself. We need to be ready and willing to listen to a child, to be watchful, mindful, ready to listen, ready to believe, ready to act, to report, to testify. Together we will hope for, no, fight for a better future, a safer world for our children. And that's the silver lining.
The Children's Center opened in 1997 because concerned citizens wanted to make the investigative process easier for children and families. Today, we have 4 child advocacy centers serving 12 counties in southwest Missouri. Our locations are in Joplin, Monette, Nevada, and Butler. Since opening our doors 25 years ago, our staff has worked tirelessly to provide hope, compassion, and justice. Children's Center creates silver linings to victims during a dark and difficult time. These services are provided at no cost to our victims, which is made possible in part by your donations and support of our center.